Thank you for watching this introduction video to the new Quark analog percussion module from End Times Modular. We're a new maker of modules, and this is our first. It is currently in production and available for shipping. You can find out more on our website. Right now, we just want to give you a quick look at the features and an idea of the sounds it can produce. It's designed for short percussive hits. Offers a wide variety of timbres and tones, so we'll get to taking a quick look at it. Here's one not hooked in. So you've got your trigger input, an accent input, which modulates the output VCA, and the audio output, of course. Filter modulation, clipping stage modulation, and frequency modulation. Also an audio input, as audio can be run through the clipping, filter, and VCA stages, along with the internal sound generated by the Quark. Audio will pass through when the gate is triggered. Now, you'll see on the back there's a way to make it so that audio passes through always. Right now I don't have a jumper in place, but in gate mode, that's the default mode, so audio passing through the input would only pass through when the gate was triggered, so you'd only hear it alongside the sound of the Quark itself when it's triggered. Then if you put it in drone mode, then that audio input passes through constantly without the gate. So it's ungated, so to speak, meaning you can use the clipping and filter and the VCA stages to modulate the audio input. So you could use the Quark as a standalone sort of audio processor with some clipping and a filter and VCA modulation if you wanted to. Or you can use it in conjunction with the sound of the Quark itself. So we'll explore some of that. For now, that's what the gate drone jumper does. You've got two modes for the filter. The default we've got set to band pass, but you can also switch that to a low pass filter. And then you've got several variable resistors here that you can adjust the scale of the CV modulation inputs. So for clipping, frequency, and filter, you can adjust these resistors to increase or decrease the range of modulation that the CV inputs will result in. And the VCA offset allows you to offset any DC click that might be coming through the gate when the gate opens. Or opposite of that, you could dial in that click if you like that sort of DC pop in conjunction with the rest of the sound of the module. So this allows you to dial that in. By default, we dial out any sort of DC offset, and it sounds great, but you can put it back in if you so desire. Of course, you get your power connector. All right, and then put that back in place. You've got the frequency knob, clipping stage knob, filter, frequency, and this is the resonance for the filter. We call it peak. And then your amplitude, which is also modulatable via the accent input. So to begin with, we'll just play a steady pulse through one Quark module. We're going to play through this particular module here, and we'll get that going right now. So as stated, the Quark is designed for short percussive hits. You can dial in a variety of tones and frequencies and whatnot with the parameters on board. So I'm just going to swing through the knobs a little bit, give you an idea of the different tones you can get, and then we'll do some more modulating and whatnot. Okay, that's a bit of a sweep through. You really can get quite a few different combinations that give you all kinds of different timbres, and you'll hopefully hear more of that as we continue the demo. For now, I'll turn up the tempo a little bit, and we'll introduce some modulation into that steady pulse. If you hear any modulation in the overall volume of the sound of the modules, it's because I've got some ducking on my voice just to take down the sound when I'm talking, so I'm not too hard to understand. Okay, so to begin with, I've got this Quark module here triggering off of sequencer 1 on my BeatStep Pro. So far I've only got a trigger input, but now we'll bring in the pitch modulation and see, make it a little more interesting. Okay, and we'll modulate the filter with the velocity output of that sequencer. Make sure we're not clipping out too much there. It's also sometimes fun to modulate the VCA, get a little more feel happening if there's a groove, which obviously we're not doing right now. So right now we're just modulating the VCA, nothing else. Take that out. Back in. And we'll take an LFO to the frequency. Okay, so far that's just been one Quark, and we're just using a simple pulse and modulating some parameters to give you an idea of what you can get out of it. Now we're going to bring in the rest of these. Got this first Quark dialed in as a kick drum, and I've got the filter on the back set to low pass. I think it's a pretty decent little thump. I've got these other two just set to various parameters, and we'll see what it sounds like when we bring those into the mix. So now I've got a fast LFO going into the frequency of the fourth Quark here, with the one being sequenced by the sequencer 1 track of the BeatStep Pro. I'm going a real fast LFO going to the frequency gives it a warbly sort of feel. Then I've got a lower frequency LFO going into this second Quark. We'll solo that out. And we'll put a little reverb and delay on. So dry. Okay, well, that should give you a little introduction into some of the sounds that you can do with the Quark. And we'll be making more videos demonstrating different ways to get interesting sounds. But for now, that's an introduction. It's available for $129 US. We're only able to sell in the United States at this time. There's a secure link to our store on the website at endtimesmodular.com. Thanks for watching, and tell your friends.